Ashleigh Berry, welcome to the podcast. You captured hearts of so many on Love is Blind UK Season 2. And you were such like a burst of energy, infectious laugh. And here you are in person. So glad we're connected. And I really, really want to find out about your story, your narrative. Yes, we'll get into Love is Blind because I'm sure so many people will be watching this right after the show.
Yeah.
But I also really want to give you the platform to talk about you.
Thank you so much for having me, Jemma. It is a pleasure to be in your space. It's gorgeous.
In our space. We'll make it our space today. Let's go back to life before Love is Blind.
Yeah.
Who was Ashleigh growing up?
My God. So Ashleigh growing up, thank you for asking me that question, by the way, because it's not often you get to talk about this side of you. And I think a lot of my journey where I described what I was going through at home growing up was captured with other dates, which you didn't see on the show. Mm-hmm. So Ashleigh growing up was loved. I have two amazing parents and two sisters, a small family, not many cousins or auntie and uncles, but very close-knit family. Mm-hmm. And I was very shy growing up. Can you believe it?
No, I can't. I wouldn't believe you for a second.
You wouldn't. I can't stop chatting now. But actually, I wouldn't say boo to a goose. I was really timid. I had no friends, particularly at nursery and like first school. I didn't have a voice, wasn't confident in myself at all. At nursery, I had a teddy that was on the register. That was my best friend. Like they used to say Teddy and I used to say, yep, because that was my voice. And even my sister, we used to go and have like our eyes tested together and my sister used to speak for me just because I was very shy. And then I met an American teacher in my baby school who kind of pushed me a little bit. I must have been around 8 years old and sort of gave me this confidence to kind of believe in myself and kind of stand up for who I am. And slowly that started to embed. I got put in the school play. I played Miranda in The Tempest. And then I went to big school and was bullied actually during school for kind of being too nice and always...
Too nice?
Yeah.
Which we need in this world today.
I know. I think people sometimes can misunderstand kindness as being fake or being too much. Mm-hmm. I was often described as too much, and gosh, that really knocked me then. And my mum took me to army cadets one day and she said, "You're going to toughen up. This has got to stop right now." So she dropped me off at this cadets, and
How old were you, if I may ask?
This was 13. Okay. About 13 years old now. Mm-hmm. Went to army cadets and they shouted at me, "Berry, get over that barbed wire fence now." And I was like a combat Barbie, like this girly girl, little weed, like didn't have much meat on her, small petite frame. And I had to climb over this barbed wire fence. And I absolutely found this like energy and strength inside myself to do it. And I loved it. I loved every second of like overcoming the first big challenge on my own, not with my parents, not with my friends or sisters. I did that. And I know that sounds really cliche and it's a small thing to do, but I landed on my 2 feet across the fence and was like, I found me. This is the start of who Ashleigh's going to be. I've got a voice and I can do this. So that taught me a lot, the cadets. It taught me a lot about my purpose, discipline, camaraderie, teamwork, loads of skills, and really shaped who I was. And then I kind of guess at the family side of that, what was going on was my parents were going through a divorce. They had a marriage that didn't work out. My dad actually hasn't been part of my life probably for the last 10 years now. He left the home to go and work, to go earn some money for us. And I kind of naturally took the provider role at a really young age, sort of 14, 15, became that male figure for my mum, for my two sisters. And that comes really naturally to me. I'm a big empath and I'm a big, kind person. It's got a lot of love. And I don't mind doing that role. But what I really want in love now and why I went into the show was to find that love back, because I have always given so much to others. And I realised I deserved that now, finally. It took me a long time to realise that. But yeah, I'm very much a giver. And at a very young age, I went on the bills, paying council tax, paying all the household things with my mum, just because she needed help, and just, really took on that carer role.
Mm-hmm. Which is really interesting because when we were exchanging notes on Instagram and I was like, Ashleigh, come on the pod, we'll have a chat. And it's great to hear you bring that up because we don't get to see that as part of your storyline on Love is Blind. And the key part here is that it feels like you were somehow quite high up in your masculine energy. I don't know if you've heard much about it. I've been reading loads about it.
Yeah.
And now you're almost like getting back into your feminine energy, or at least rebalancing. And that's probably what you are after.
So true, you've said that. And I did this breathwork retreat this year, actually, and we talked a lot about feeling parts of the body. I think, is it left side that's more masculine? Have you read about that? And the right side's more feminine. Anyway, don't quote me on that, but there is a side that we lean into naturally. Mm-hmm. And when I studied my body, I was actually leaning into the masculine energy. And that was, earlier on this year. But from the experience and from doing these podcasts and from a lot of self-discovery and kind of reflection, that energy from my feminine side is outdoing the masculine now. And I'm ready to, empower others and empower myself, most importantly, and settle for nothing less now than what I deserve.
I feel like the right person who will come along is someone who will naturally get you to retreat into your feminine energy. And as long as that person isn't masculine enough, you will find yourself having to be that masculine to make up for the external forces of the world. That's what I've been told. And it's so true when I speak to like my female friends and women around me, because I've been very high up in my masculine energy. And like lately I've been trying to find myself back into my feminine era, like soft girl era.
Yes.
I'm embracing it. But yes, I have been made self-aware of the imbalance at some points.
And I think that's so true. And finding the right person that creates that space for you to be feminine and be that soft side and let someone else take the lead is hard. And I took that risk with Billy to allow him that space to do that for me. And unfortunately, that didn't work out. And that's okay now. It's been a tough year of heartache and rebuilding myself again. And I did go to a very dark place through, not feeling like my love was enough. But actually, my love was enough and he just wasn't enough for me.
I've been reading a lot on Reddit, and I don't know if you've been on there. The comments are adorable. Obviously, one or two who question, and I'm just trying to play devil's advocate here.
Of course.
There have been a couple of comments about the fact that maybe you were so caught up with the idea of marriage that you maybe didn't see some of the red flags. And in hindsight, it's such a wonderful thing to say, right? Like, in hindsight, like, who knows?
Of course.
But if we were to pause on Billy, and obviously, I'm just paraphrasing here, there are obviously two sides to the story, but the one thing he certainly said on the show was that he was married before, and so he's gone for a divorce before. Did you ever get to talk about what was the reason for the divorce? And if that was something that maybe you could have picked on as a red flag going into this experiment?
I'll be really honest. Him being divorced, initially when he said it to me in the pods, I actually drew a flag in my notebook because I was like, okay, never met someone that had been divorced before. It's a question mark, it's a flag. But went into the next day with him and I'd slept on it and I thought, actually, this flag could be a green flag because it just shows that someone's had experience. It shows that someone's had learnings from it because the way he spoke about his ex was really positive. And he also explained that they'd fallen out of love and it was amicable. And actually the learnings he'd got from the marriage was around communication. Okay. And I thought, wow, for a guy to be really in touch with his emotional side and say like, I went through a marriage, it didn't work and this is what I've learned and I'm going to put this into the next marriage. I was like, this is a green flag for me. So, and I'm very much a person that I wanted to find love that was deeper than just this. And the conversations you have in the pods are meaningful for that reason. And it made him interesting and it made us decide, which like angle will we go down now? You've told me this. And for me, it wasn't a red flag. Perhaps on reflection, I could have dug a little bit deeper into what happened there. And with all due respect to her, I don't really want to comment too much on that because that was their marriage and the show wasn't about them two. So I'm sure Billy would be able to answer that. But from my point of view, I took it as like, this is a layer of Billy that I actually quite like.
In fairness, it's his story, as you said. But yes, I mean, it was interesting to see that the audience was picking on that particular point. And I was like, I'm going to ask Ashleigh when I meet her. And we're going to get into that. Let's go back to maybe your past relationship, if I may. It really touched me when you talked about your previous dating history and the fact that you had been single for 4 years, but the previous relationship, which had knocked your confidence in your own words.
Yeah.
To what extent you want to talk about it?
I think I'm going to take accountability for a lot of the relationships I had before going on the show were not the right guys for me. I definitely picked the wrong person for Ashleigh's needs and desires, and the love that Ashleigh needed wasn't found in these guys. And I think the love I received was, quite a toxic, unhealthy love. And those relationships didn't build me, they knocked me. And when I found that I was vulnerable with previous relationships and really opened up to them about who Ashleigh is and what my fears are and, what my flaws are, these people, again, didn't rebuild me with them. They knocked me and they used those things against me. And that really made me question who Ashleigh was. And again, I naturally defaulted to this, okay, I've got to re-question me. Maybe I need to go back to the carer, the lover, the provider.
The nurturer.
A lot of the people I've been with, this one particular relationship, needed a lot of self-validation from me. Where was my love back? It wasn't a two-way street. And that really destroyed who I was. And I think I then, at that point, threw myself into my career. And I went into a managerial role at work where I had to grow a really thick layer of skin. And that had been destroyed by one previous relationship. And I think going into a career where I had to do a lot of disciplinaries and HR and kind of that side of the aviation made me toughen up and actually believe in myself again. I always thought Ashleigh's this soft, gentle, kind person. She would never be good enough to do that role. She's too lovely to do a managerial role and naturally bring someone into the office and speak to them about their behaviour. But I've learned that you are enough and that Ashleigh is enough, and that even though I've got this kind, warm energy, that's a superpower. And you can bring that into any role that you want to go for in life. You just tailor it to your style. And actually, you can get more out of something by being yourself and being authentic than you can by trying to change and be someone that you're not. So this career move for me in my company that I'm in now was amazing and saved me from really being rock bottom from the relationship I was in.
I love this because I feel like you've got the right balance of keeping your authenticity and your softness while having to be this thick-skinned person at work. I remember when I did an internship way years back, someone did say to me as a feedback, that was a previous manager, and that was not in this country, just in case anyone's listening, but someone did say to me that I used to smile too much and that I was too soft-spoken. But being soft-spoken, for instance, doesn't mean I'm not confident or being smiley and being kind to people. I'm just super cheerful around people. I kind of resonate with your energy. We've talked about this earlier. But I'm you can be both.
You can be both.
You can be both.
And I think that's such an important message we've just hit there. It's don't let anyone dampen your sparkle. Don't let anyone tell you that you can't do that because absolutely, don't get me wrong, I had to learn skills and I did have to educate myself around areas that I wasn't as comfortable in, but I did it and I was up for the challenge. And being authentic drives others to be really open and honest with you. And that's all that you need in a workspace to get the best out of people.
True.
And I think I'm proud of what I did on the show. I look back on it and there's not one scene where I think, my God, who was that? That was Ashleigh. That was Ashleigh, raw, vulnerable, emotional. I'm sorry you saw me cry the whole time. Didn't see as much happiness as there really was with Billy and I. But staying true to yourself is my absolute superpower. And I really empower everyone out there to do the same.
Oh, that's beautiful. There was that scene that also stayed with me. It really hit me then when you said it physically hurts so much and you were crying. That was when I think Billy said he felt 50-50.
Yeah.
Looking back, some viewers felt like it would have given you so much power. And again, I want to caveat this, in hindsight, is an absolutely wonderful thing to say. So many things could have been done differently. But looking back, when you watch yourself, do you kind of agree with the narrative that people have been putting out there that it would have been so much more power to you to say no at the altar and walk away? Because we saw the sigh of relief that you breathed in there when he said yes. And I was like, Ashleigh.
I know. And looking back, it was a journey. And life is a journey. It's not a destination. I'm not a big risk taker, actually. And the biggest risk that I did was going on the show. I
was going to say.
And saying yes to a man that I'd met within 10 weeks. And I still stand by that. I stand by saying yes to him, and I've learned so much from it, though. And I have learned that the right person won't make me compromise as much as I had to, or will make me feel safe in that environment. I wish we had more time. I think the time element and it perhaps not being a real marriage would have made a huge difference to the pressure. And I remember my sisters actually sitting down with Billy at one point saying, it's okay to say no to her. Like, we love you. It will be okay, whatever happens. And these doubts you have, like, we're hearing it. And if you're not sure, don't break her heart as well.
Aww.
Don't risk her feelings just for risking a marriage. And that's why I'm disappointed he didn't fight for it after and didn't really give it a go.
Because your family, it seems like your family behind the scenes did create that safe environment for him to be able to say no, which we don't get to see on the show.
Yeah, they absolutely did. I mean, there are so many meetups that happen in Manchester behind the scenes that we caught up over coffee and dinner, and my mum met him, and you don't see this, but there's so much love for him. He was accepted in the family. And what happened was what they really didn't want to see happen. And they know how much I deserve this love from someone. And I remember we had this dinner in Manchester. It's not shown, but it was filmed actually. And it was the first time I saw my little sister, who's 26, cry about how inspired she was by me. And as a big sister, like, Jemma, that's all I've ever wanted, is for them to look up to me.
Oh, Ashleigh.
And when Charlie cried in front of Billy and said, like, she deserves the world, don't let us down, Look, the postman loves her, everyone in life, I treat everyone how they should be treated, right? Even if I don't know them and they're rude to me, I give people a chance because you don't know their story. And I think it's such a shame that Billy had that space to say no to me, yet still took a risk. And I think straight away he knew it was wrong.
Speaking of pressure, the narrative or the storyline has pretty much been about your job.
Yeah.
And I watched this and I tried to be objective about this. Obviously, everyone has preferences when it comes to who they are dating, what lifestyle they want with that person. It seems like for so many years, you've almost battled between your ambition and relationships in a way because of your cabin crew manager profession. And for the records, for anyone watching from the US, cabin crew.
I don't build cabins, although I'm trying. I've got sawdust on my hands today.
Have you seen it? So many people have been like, what does it, especially in the US.
I went on his podcast, their podcast. Yeah. They're so great, funny. Those guys. They are hilarious.
So funny. She's a flight attendant manager now.
Yes.
But when you watch back, when you think about your journey so far, it feels like you've had to battle. And I think for me, I was reflecting on this, and I was reflecting on what modern feminism looks like today. I don't know if you've heard about Sheryl Sandberg, but she talks about leaning in. And I kind of wonder, was there a part of, this experiment that for a brief second got you to sort of lean back because I need to move on and I need to focus on building a marriage, thinking about kids, and maybe I have the chance here with someone. Did that get to you at all?
I think one of the main reasons I went into this experiment was because my job role took a second place to my love. I was actually focusing on prioritising finding love, and I'm ready to marry. I'm in my 30s now and I want to have a family and I want that person to fit into my world, you know, perfectly. So I went in prioritising love for the first time ever. And I didn't think about work. And I think, do you know what? You've hit the nail on the head there. When I was chatting to guys in the pods, they'd say to me, what do you do? And I'd say, I'm cabin crew. Not once in 10 weeks, Jemma, did I say, I'm a cabin crew manager. I've worked in HR. I've worked in recruitment. I've been a cabin crew trainer. I've worked for the aviation industry for 12 years. I think I mentioned that once to Billy. I didn't sell my job in the pods or in the experiment at all because I finally wanted to give love a shot on its own.
Although you've achieved so much.
Although I've achieved so much. And I guess back to that whole masculinity, femininity side, just really wanted to lean into this side that I haven't lent into yet. Time's ticking in a way, you know, I really do want to find love, but the right love for me. And this experiment was perfect for me. That's why I went into it. And the fact that I undersold myself, and even when the producers rang me at the end, they were like, you know, you're a cabin crew manager, right? You didn't once say it, Ashleigh. And they made sure in the title when it comes up, Ashleigh, flight manager, they put that in.
The Virgin Atlantic.
Yes, exactly. They put that in because I hadn't said it myself. Isn't that eye-opening?
Very.
And I think I have battled with like being very career-driven and having, you know, a relationship. And in the past relationships I've had, guys that I've dated have found me quite intimidating and powerful in the position that I am, running a team of 10 crew. We've got a destination to get to. We've got 300 customers to look after. We're going to get there and we're going to amaze them all and they're going to fly with us again. When guys have seen me in my workplace or heard about my job, they kind of don't know how to respond to that. They find it, I'm going to be honest, intimidating. And I kind of don't want it to be like that. I want someone to be finally proud of that and go, you are awesome. And I want to carry you and lift you up further and add value to your job, not use your job as either just a free ticket or just use it as a cool thing to say that I'm dating cabin crew, you know?
Have you ever been asked the question if men are intimidated by you?
Yes, I get that asked a lot.
I have been asked that question.
Have you?
Yeah. I mean, not that many times, but it did surprise me when I was asked that question before. I kind of almost took offense to it.
So do I. Why should we? Why should we step down from having ambition and drive? And we've built these successful careers for many years for a guy that's not going to champion it. It's really unusual. And I guess maybe in society there are a lot of more women now who are the breadwinners, who are successful, powerful leaders in the country and across the globe, you know. And that is something that I think plays a part now, kind of finding that right love that comes into our careers.
I literally spoke about this on a previous podcast chat. We had we had a female matchmaker on this pod before.
Yeah.
I love also, by the way, when Ashleigh and I were coming up the stairs, I said, well, come I'll show you around the pods. And she was like, pod means a different thing for me.
Pods means
podcast for me. Different kind of pods for you. But yes, when I had her on and we talked about this, and I remember specifically bringing that up, that someone had mentioned to me, like someone had asked me the question. I was trying to explore what that question could mean, if that means something beyond like my personality, beyond my drive, because I've never said I don't want a family. I'm just exploring the world of dating in the hope of someone who would embrace the whole package, right? Yeah. But it's interesting, hence the question, because especially with you flying and not being able to be fully present as in on the grounds, right?
Yeah.
So that's interesting. People have asked you the question.
Yeah, it's come up a lot. I mean, even on like dating sites before the show, going onto it, I kind of changed my role on there to be like aviation. I didn't want to be as specific to what I did because I think, guys can be really intimidated by being in a position where you lead people.
How do you feel about this today after the show?
God.
Would you still undersell yourself?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I think it's really powerful having your love story captured on film and then actually watching that story back. Like, a lot of us go through breakups and have just memories or diaries that you've written in or photographs to reflect on. But this time I've used this journey to actually look at myself, look at Ashleigh's soul here. How was Ashleigh in Ireland? How was Ashleigh on the wedding day? I mean, seeing me on that bed before I said yes and being so hopeful, that was powerful. And I'm so proud of myself for following my heart and my dreams and standing true to what I wanted in that moment. And yes, it was a risk that didn't pay off, but I look back and I think, absolutely, I have got so many amazing qualities and I know that someone will appreciate all of them one day, and I can't wait to meet that person.
You will find that person. I'm sure you will. Just going back briefly to that scene, or rather going back to the point about your profession, while your family was quite supportive of this match, Billy's family was perhaps a bit more objective and a bit candid about some of the statements he may have made before going onto the show. The famous one being, if ever he would meet a flight attendant, he would be back in a few weeks. Was there more scenes similar to this off camera where the family perhaps would have had chats and conversation, just like a family may have been counseling you, that maybe would have weighed on his decision going into this? Well, obviously, the decision turned out to be a yes.
Yeah, but
we've seen the final outcome.
The outcome. So the only other off-camera chats that we had weren't with his family. Actually, his family were really supportive of me. Like, they really did open their arms. I guess the scene with his dad was the first sort of prickly scene where I was like, oh, that caught my breath when he sort of said, is this real? Is this going to work? You are cabin crew. And my son said he wasn't going to date cabin crew again. And I was like, I felt really isolated at that point. I felt like I had to justify myself to why cabin crew is such an amazing role. And actually, we can work. Like, not once do you see me question or doubt his role and the fact that he has to be deployed and travel.
Yes, which you brought up, which I thought was a really good point.
You know, I think I saw him mention it on a podcast the other day that his role isn't talked about. Well, his role wasn't talked about because I accepted his role. I had no issues with his role. His role, I empowered and was so proud of him. In my vows, I said that. And I couldn't wait to be his wife and adapt. And I expected that he would adapt too to my career. But back to your question around the family, I wasn't aware of any other conversations where they fed him messages around doubtfulness. I actually spoke to his dad on the balcony in Manchester, and his dad was like, he just needs to take more risks in life and not sabotage things, you know? And his mum said that as well, you know, don't sabotage this one, Billy, like, do what makes you feel good. And they were really supportive. So I don't feel that he was getting fed any messages that I know of that were like, don't do it because she's cabin crew.
On the other side, that means his family being so supportive and saying, don't sabotage it for yourself this time around. It perhaps builds a belief in you that his family is so supportive, he might be getting that sort of support system around him that could get him to say yes eventually.
Yeah.
Because I think, and do correct me if I'm wrong, from the moment you part ways and until the wedding, you don't see each other.
No, we don't see each other.
I don't know if you keep in touch or not, but you'd never know what's going on in each other's head.
No, you have a small few days, depending on when your wedding is, where you go back to kind of your homes. He went back to the north, I went back to the south. We did keep in touch. We left after the stag and hen do on quite uneasy terms, where you saw in the scene where he says, I'm a no. That was new to me.
Oh.
That was really difficult to watch, how confidently he said that to Cal. And then I see that on reflection now, but I just don't know. I think he says in some of his podcasts that the pressure did get to him. maybe he felt that he wanted to do everyone proud, and I am a good catch. And his family saw that and thought, go for it, Billy. But he had very good friends around him as well that were honest with him. And I think they would have also given both sides to the story and played both devil's advocate to him. So I think he had the perfect environment to make a really informed decision. And I'm going to be honest, he's been married before. The stakes are higher now. You know what it takes to be a good husband. You told me in the pods what it was like to be a good husband. I bought into that trust. I bought into that safe space that you created. And I let you in and you ripped the carpet under my feet. And that was tough, yeah.
How do you feel about him today?
I'm disappointed in him. I feel really let down. I don't recognise him actually today. And I think it's been really difficult having grieved the relationship for a year under a rock. No one knew, apart from my immediate family that knew what happened. Having to try and close the chapter, but knowing that you fully can't because you've got to film a reunion. Then the whole nation watches your love story and congratulates you on getting married, and you're like, watch 2 more weeks and we're not actually married, Then the news comes out, and now I have to kind of navigate my journey again whilst hearing podcasts that he's doing. I mean, I'm sat here doing a podcast with you, so I'm sure it's hard for him too. But hearing him speak about our relationship the way he does now is shocking. It's hurtful. I don't feel that he talks about me with much love and respect. There's a few comments that are nice, but I would say very few. And I thought the love there was stronger for me.
Do you feel a sense of grudge?
No, I don't feel a sense of grudge because I'm actually not that kind of person. I'm not bitter or evil. And as I described, I got bullied for being too nice. But I know my worth and I know my boundaries. And I remember he reached out to me just before the reunion to say, can we meet? He was feeling really nervous. And
did you meet up?
I didn't meet up because it wasn't right for me. And for once, I put myself first. And I said, I really respect where you're coming from. And I gave him directions to speak to other people for support and signposted. But actually, this is about my healing, Billy, and I need more time. And then the reunion happened. So
it was explosive.
Yeah. It was the bravest conversation I've ever had in my life. The most confrontational conversation I've ever had. And I didn't know how that was going to go.
I don't know how you sat next to each other.
Well, we were mapped out beforehand. They took you on like a little journey of like, okay, you're going to sit here and this is where Matt and Emma will be. And I remember going, I'm sat next to him. And obviously for the viewer's point of view, they don't want to give anything away. Of when course. You turn the TV on and you see us sat next to each other, you assume that we're together. And I get that. They've got to play that part and tell that story. But I just had to dig really deep and find my strength on that sofa.
And we could feel it through the screen.
Could you?
Because I heard you say, and that made me laugh, but I heard you say it was almost like I sat on his lap.
I was basically sat on his lap. I was like trying not to sit on Barda's lap either.
But that's what I meant. It was so explosive and it was so expressive because you say what you had to say. You say your piece.
Yeah.
But it felt like, to me at least, I was like, you both are sitting next to each other.
Yeah.
That exchange of fiery energy,
oh my God,
in close proximity,
was a lot.
That would have been tough.
Yeah, it was really tough. And you've got to imagine, we haven't seen these couples around us for a year. I'd seen Sarova, obviously, she's a really close friend of mine, but I hadn't seen Megan and Kieran, and it was amazing watching their love story, but it was that added dynamics to the scene. You've got Katisha and Javen also uncomfortable around each other. Barda's literally opposite Jed. So the atmosphere was already tense. Right. Then put us next to each other. Then put us in front of a lot of people who don't know our story always, who are heckling and booing and cheering at different parts. And that was really distracting at times. And I can't tell you, I mean, I'd done a lot of I had a lot of psych support before going onto the stage. I mean, the team of production that give you that psych support is phenomenal, by the way, in the show. I have to say, the welfare and the psych help. And I've had a brilliant woman support me through all of this, and I had prepared for the reunion. I knew I wanted to be strong, and I actually visualised a lion. Which is so opposite to kind of the Ashleigh that you might think.
The combat Barbie.
But look, it's important to have different sides and angles to you. And actually, I was fed up of being a people pleaser and saying yes. And that's what I was like when I was a child, and through relationships I have been. And this experiment taught me no more. Absolutely no more of that. I said yes because I wanted to marry him. That was my first big thing I wanted to do. And then doing the reunion, I thought, this is where I'm going to be, and I'm going to be strong, powerful, and speak the truth. And I wasn't unfair to him. I don't feel. I wasn't rude. I mean, he told me to hush and stop speaking. But you know what? I'm not holding grudges. He was emotional too. And yeah, I remember sitting in the sofa and actually leaning forward a bit to just poise myself, to feel strong enough to be this air of like, I'm a lion, and this is how I'm going to hold myself and feel, and I'm going to be able to get through this, because it was the most unusual experience that I can't even explain to you of my life that I've done. You know, I've questioned actually, like, when our marriage broke down, what did Billy do for that year? Like, we had a few elements of contact. He sent me flowers on my birthday. That was very kind. I thanked him. We had a few messages to keep communication open at a stage where I felt like I needed it. But then I closed that door and thought, this isn't helping me, hearing about you all the time and taking on your feelings. I need to protect me. So that stopped, and we hadn't spoken to each other for months prior to the reunion, apart from the message when he reached out to say, can we meet? And I do wonder, like, that year for me was the hardest, surreal, dream-like year of my life, where my life was tied. You know, I could only say so much. I had NDAs here, there and everywhere. I only had a small circuit of friends and loved ones to speak to. I had the support, but I was also very alone on this. I'd made the biggest decision of my life to commit to a man, and it failed. And now I'm finding my purpose. Like, why did that happen? And I just question, like, what did he do with that year? Did he prepare for that reunion? I don't think he can't have, because he was shocked how I was so hurt on stage. Of course I was hurt. I loved this man. I gave him everything. And he just thought maybe we were going to be friends and just chat like amicably. And I thought it could have been like that, but I feel from the few maybe moments of emotion where statements were flying and comments were made, I thought, no, this is unfair now. I'm going to have to just stand my ground.
You know, Sarova, I think I saw one of her posts yesterday, and she talked about her healing throughout the year. And I bring this up because I know you two are really close friends. And she talked about how her healing involved, as many of us have gone for breakups and we've cried ourselves to sleep.
Yeah.
It must have been a really isolating experience for you going for this. And to your point, you've signed an NDA. You can't speak about this with anyone else except the people who were involved. What was your healing journey like? And if I may ask you, do you feel like you've completely healed from this? Or is there part of you that still needs to get some sort of closure?
So my healing journey, wow. I don't think you'll ever be fully healed from what we went through. It was the most surreal, unusual, unrelatable experience to anyone. I guess the cast from season 1 can relate.
Right.
And elements of our journey people could relate to: failed marriages, meeting family, intensity of all of that. But being filmed for 24 hours a day for up to 10 weeks and having many, many interviews, I had reoccurring dreams after the experience, which were really unsettling. And that was my brain processing the trauma I'd been through. And so the healing journey was turbulent. I'm sorry to be cliche with it, but it was very high and low. And it was lonely. And that's why me and Sarova really became a force. At times, we actually were so vulnerable ourselves that we probably weren't good for each other and had to have weeks apart and where we didn't message for a bit because she was dealing with a completely different breakup to mine. However, we always were support networks. I lent a lot on my family and had multiple breakdowns and outrages of emotion. I'm very in tune with my emotions, but I don't often get very angry. I felt this roar of anger a lot throughout the healing journey towards him and what I'd lost. You know, I'd been so... I'd hoped that it had worked, and I think my family just wanted that for me as well, and I took a risk and it didn't pay out, and that's okay now, but at the time it was really tough to comprehend. I journaled a lot. I had a lot of psych support.
Your little journal
I brought my journal. My journal comes everywhere with me. I actually voice noted a lot as well. What I found out was my love language in that experiment was time.
And interesting.
I did not expect it to be time.
What did you think it could have been before?
Words of affirmation.
Okay.
I like being told, you're great, you can do this, reassurance, lovely words like that. But where it came to time is I feel like my time is so precious. My time on the ground is precious because I'm often in the air.
I was about to say, could that be a driver, one of the drivers behind this realization of yours?
Totally. My time is so precious and I give so much of my time to people, to my customers on board, to my crew when they're away. If they're poorly, I'm the one that wants to look after them. I'm the manager. To you today, to my family. And actually for once I wanted someone to give me their time. And the fact that he gave me 3 months, that cut me up, you know. And the fact that I didn't have all of his time was really powerful. And what I decided to do on my healing journey was finally give Ashleigh time. And
that's beautiful.
Who would have thought that would have come out of that journey? So I started to voice note and I'd say to my psych, oh my God, I don't know why, but I'm just feeling like I need to voice note how I'm feeling. She was like, because you're giving yourself time.
That's beautiful.
That's time that you have spent with yourself, loving your soul. And I think there's something really beautiful around our identities and our souls, Jemma. And I think for a lot of the time, I've given people identity, Ashleigh, this. But I haven't given people my soul until I met Billy. And actually, that was hurt. So I've really worked hard on rebuilding and looking after Ashleigh's soul and doing good things for me. Breathwork retreats, spending time with people that give me their time and actually love all of me, no matter what I'm going through. And yeah, it's been amazing. Am I healed from it? I think the wound's been reopened.
With watching the show.
With doing the reunion, with hearing podcasts from him. You know, the door's closed, but it's like there's a gap still. And of course, there is the agreement, and obviously we're going to go through a divorce now. So that's also quite cloudy. So I really want the chapter to be fully closed, and, you know, having the divorce will do that. But it's been a tough time, and I think it's interesting people hearing that, because you might think that life looks great now and I'm back to work and I'm able to fly again. But actually I'm really balancing this new journey of like, wow, Ashleigh Lib, Ashleigh life, Ashleigh soul. I want to merge it together, and, you know, I really am proud of who I am, and I keep giving myself those pat on the backs of like how strong I've come out of this, how much resilience I've shown through going through a heartbreak and a failed marriage, and still being able to be positive and having positive messages for people out there.
Yes.
That's what I'm driven to do, because I think life is too short and there is always pockets of happiness found in everyday life.
Yeah, it's beautiful because the way you talk about this closure, and by all means do correct me, but it seems like you haven't got the complete closure yet. But it's interesting that you brought up the word door, because I was listening to a podcast by Mel Robbins, and she talked about closure, and she said, as long as you always have a hand on that doorknob, you haven't closed the chapter. And at some point, when you feel ready, which is one is the big question here, you need to walk away from that door, because it's always easy to try to project what the fantasy of what it could have been.
Of course.
And at some point, it's a question of like letting go and moving on. And someone said this to me because I've had a breakup in my 20s. But one of my friends really brought this up, and she said, you know what? You're still expecting closure. And at some point, if you don't get it, you have to close that chapter yourself. And I really hope in whatever form that comes for you, whether that's like finding purpose from Love is Blind, and we were talking about what you could be doing after the show, whatever that is, like that sense of community that you've managed to build around you, I hope that gives you purpose, and that will be maybe one of your ways of closing and finding closure from this.
Oh, it's quite emotional, you talking about it like that, because I went on for love, and it's probably a message like to everyone out there that it's okay to not get things quite right, and it's okay to take big risks and it not always be reciprocated, because it's taught me so much about my purpose and who I am and who I want to be. And I'm really grateful for the experience, and I really wouldn't have changed it. And I think you're right, just at this point now, that door probably, I've just got to tape it up, repaint it.
Close it, move
and it's
away.
the emergency exit, so I'm going out that emergency exit now.
You had to bring up the cabin crew.
I had to bring up the cabin crew. Come on, it's been the whole storyline.
You know what? Speaking of love language,
yes,
I do feel if we had to invent a sixth, because there are 5, right? If we had to invent another love language, yours would be food. It should be food. Like, do you know how many people bond over food?
Yeah.
I was watching you and I was like, look, I don't have a sweet tooth that much, but I was like, cake? I was like, I'm sorry, screw the rice, mincemeat, broccoli every day. I don't mind it, but every day, no thank you.
Absolutely.
So that was like, for me, no. Speaking of which, I've got treats for you to bring home, because I was like, okay, girl, she needs to be fed. I'm here for cakes. So you've got cakes from me and treats.
It's so funny. I keep getting given cake. I just did a flight 2 days ago, and the crew member said, I've got something for you. And I was like, oh God, what's it going to be? It's cake. So I've started a trend with cake and goodies.
And I think what perhaps you don't realise, or you didn't realise that, yes, we're talking about this on a very light note.
Yeah, no.
So many people struggle with body image, and yours was being at some point underweight. And so many people struggle about it. And being able to talk about food in such a positive way and like no judging.
Yeah.
I'm going to eat what I feel like because I feel moody on a particular day. The hormones are playing up. I thought that was a really important point, as much as it was a bit underrepresented in a way, because it just came more as a dating thing or like a lifestyle thing between the two of you. But I think that was such an important message in a way. Eat cake whenever you feel like it.
Absolutely. I think that message shocked me when it came out, because it was uncomfortable when we were shopping. And then when I watched it back, I was like, oh my God, like this is so much more deep rooted than I thought it was. And to those girls, guys, people out there who are struggling with their weight, particularly I can relate to being underweight and not being able to put anything on, being bullied at the time and not having that strength mentally and physically to be the woman I wanted to be. I had to look at food and use it as a force for good. And I think that should always be underlying in our love language with food, and it shouldn't be restricted if it doesn't need to be. It should be love, it should be fun, it should be colourful, it should be communities, it should bring people together. You know, I love flying to India and they care so much about food. Nigerians as well. Like it's all about having families
you
around.
You should come to Mauritius one day. That's where I'm from.
Mauritius as well.
Like, we love food.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Ashleigh, before you came on here, I gave you a little test to do. I mean, not my test. It was a quiz test. And we talked about Logan Urie's book, and she has this dating style. I guess it comes up, I guess the conclusion would be what sort of person you are when it comes to dating. You could be the maximizer, the romanticizer, and there was the hesitator.
Yeah.
Yours came up as the maximizer. And you and I, we had like a little shriek on messages because that's the one I got like way before.
Yeah.
But I kind of wonder, do you think you would have got the same result today than if you were to take the test before going on to the show or from your previous relationship? And for anyone who's listening to this for the first time, this whole concept, the maximizer is someone who maybe has someone but wants better.
Well, it was so interesting. When you sent me that quiz, I was filling it in, but I had two mindsets with it. I found it really difficult to fill in. And I know that's a quiz that you're meant to just do off the cuff and not think too much into. But part head was like, oh my God, this is how I would date before the show.
Right.
Then I was like, but this is what I've learned from dating in the show. And then the second half or the third half was, but I haven't dated since Billy. So I don't actually know what I'd be like physically, emotionally right now because I haven't tried it. I know what I'd like to be like and what I've learned, but actually doing it was different. So it was really interesting analogy to think about, and just answering it was insightful. The maximizer, I do analyse and I do overthink. I said I'm not really a risk taker before the show. The show was the biggest risk I've taken in my life, and marrying him was a huge risk. And I have no regrets to that. But yeah, I do always like to know like the full picture before I go into something. And maybe that's because I've been hurt before and have been hurt recently. So it's hard to say where I'd be. I really want to feel secure with my next partner and not have any doubts that, is he going to leave me? Is there someone more suited to me out there? That I've learned from the show that, you know, love, as I said, is more than this, and love needs to come not necessarily straight away. I think the connection can be built over time, and it is about exploring different love languages, and if both of you want to make something work, it will. So it's really interesting, that quiz.
And I know you're not dating right now, but I feel like when it will be time for you to start dating again, maybe the slight risk is that, because I perhaps have been there, the slight risk might be that you feel too guarded. But I really hope whoever that person is just sees you for who you are, the whole package, burst of energy, rays of sunshine that you are. People love you online, and people have been very, very fond of your personality. And I think from having seen you on the show, because I remember going, she's very bubbly. I wonder what she's like in person. You literally are what I see. It was such a pleasure talking to you today. I really hope you've enjoyed the chat. I hope you got to tell your story to people watching you. If you have any parting words for anyone watching you, this is your time. Feel free to go for it.
Thank you, Jemma, for having me in our space today. It's been wonderful to get to know someone like yourself who's so intelligent and just full of wisdom, and I feel really safe around you. So thank you for letting me be here in a really kind of difficult time of my life, you know, to be talking about things. Parting messages. Wow. Parting messages that I am definitely standing by for now is authenticity is power. And believe that you are good enough, and the right person will see all of you and want all of you and only add value to who you are as a person. And I think follow your heart and be open to risks as well. It's okay to be vulnerable and seen, because then you can understand how that person's going to cooperate with you and actually adapt to you and look after you when you're vulnerable. And most importantly, just find happiness in everyday life. There is so many pockets of happiness that we can find just by having a chat today that has boosted morals and given me a sense of purpose and enlightened me and kind of given me another path to go down. And I think to everyone out there, find those. Go and find them, because they're there for you as well.
I really hope you find that sense of purpose, because I do feel like, and I'm perhaps like speaking on behalf of many watching this, I do feel like you have something to say and contribute as a community-led platform. So I hope we get to see something out of this. Do keep me posted.
I will. I'll let you know. You'll be first on my podcast.
I don't have much to say, but I'll be happy to come and help you. Well, Ashleigh, thank you so much. I really, really enjoyed today. And thank you for being on here.
Brilliant. Should we go and get cake now?
Yeah. You too. See ya.
Bye.